bout against the consensus greatest heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic, but got to give Jon Jones his flowers after a monumental return here tonight. All right, well, you know, the UFC gives the fans precisely what they want to that end. A look at our upcoming schedule. Next Saturday, March 11th, live on ESPN+. It is UFC Fight Night, Jan versus Willie. 1 week later, actually 2 weeks from tonight, we're back on pay-per-view, UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman 3. Marlon Chito Vera, Corey Sandhagen get the main event treatment. San Antonio, Texas, March 25th, and then after a week off, it is back to pay-per-view for UFC 287, April 8th, from Miami, Florida, USA. UFC 285, Jones versus Gane, has been brought to you by Prime Hydration, the fastest growing beverage in history and the official sports drink of UFC. With only 25 calories, 0 added sugar, BCAAs, and electrolytes. Now available at Walmart.
It all began 30 years ago with an idea.
You are about to see something that you have never seen before.
Welcome to the Ultimate Fighting Championship world. This is a crazy sport, ladies and gentlemen.
30 years later, it's still leading the future of sport. The Ultimate Fighting Championship. The fight has just begun.
All right, here's what's streaming on UFC Fight Pass. Aries FC, LFA, and Polaris all live next week. Boxing phenom Callum Walsh set to return on March 16th. Use code MARCH for 50% off 1 year at UFCFightPass.com. All right, two sides to every story, and I'm sure for Ciryl Gane, he will rebuild, but this was a mismatch. Jon Jones back in a major way tonight, Joe.
It's crazy. If you think about what Ciryl Gane's done inside the octagon, the victory over Tai Tuivasa, even when Francis beat him, he beat him by decision, and he beat him by smothering him and holding him down. For Jon to just run across the octagon, grab him, drag him to the ground, and choke him inside of 2 minutes. Amazing.
Yeah, just to dominate him in the way that he did, you can't expect that. But again, Jon Jones does things that Jon Jones does. When people think it's impossible, he always kind of takes the level to the next level. That's exactly what he did against Ciryl Gane. He saw something in him that made him believe that this was a mismatch. He went out there and he absolutely proved that. This was, it was one-sided. And you say Cyryl's gonna build back, Jon. It's gonna be hard to build back from that.
It's a weird position to be in for Ciryl Gane, but for Jon Jones, look at that. He's on top of the world. And he has an amazing fight coming up with Stipe Miocic, and I am very much looking forward to that.
To that end, let me throw it to Megan to get Stipe Miocic's instant reaction to this result.
Thank you so much, Jon. I appreciate it. Stipe, you had a front row seat to this fight between Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane. What was your reaction from what unfolded in front of you?
Good for him. I mean, he won. I'll see him in July.
That for sure is something that you want to make sure that you show up for in July. What do you need to train after seeing Jon Jones at heavyweight? For you, what's the focus?
Nothing's gonna change. I'm gonna train my ass out. I'm gonna beat their ass.
Are you ready for July? Is that what you want physically?
Yes, 100%. No questions.
And why then?
Because they told me, so I'm ready. I mean, honestly, I wanted this fight in March. It just didn't work out. You know, they gave it to Ciryl, and unfortunately, you know, I'll wait till July. It's fine.
What were your impressions of Jon's performance and also his size at heavyweight?
We're all big boys in heavyweight, and you know, I mean, I don't have much to say. I mean, it is what it is.
I know you don't have much to say. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us. This one is going to be interesting when we see you two face off. For you, in your mind, what's the biggest advantage in you facing Jon Jones?
Well, I weigh actually more both of them right now. I actually weigh 253, so it's kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, you'll see in July. You'll see what the difference is. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, we can't wait. Stipe, we appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.
Stipe's like, I'm gonna go fight fires and train, all right? Daniel, you knocked out Stipe Miocic in July of 2018, one of the biggest singular wins in UFC history. That is now the challenge in front of your foremost rival, Jon Jones.
Yeah, and it's a tall order, but Jones will feel better at heavyweight the second time, because tonight there's a lot of unknowns. You're fighting this guy, Ciryl Gane, who has struck fear in so many people's minds. To go out there and dominate him in that way, you have more confidence going into your second appearance, but Stipe Miocic will be faster. Stipe Miocic will be much harder to take down. And Stipe Miocic has that championship level experience, maybe not as much as Jones, but he does have that experience.
Well, he certainly has championship level experience in the heavyweight division. He's the most accomplished heavyweight champion of all time. He's a great fighter. I mean, if you go back and look at his knockout of Fabricio Verdum, you go and look at some of the fights that he's had as a heavyweight champion. I mean, it's whether or not he's still got that.
That's going to be a fun one, though.
That's the question. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. And you know, one of the things that I like is from the Francis Ngannou knockout loss, there's plenty of time to recover. A lot of time off, a lot of time off, a lot of time to train and get bigger, which is one of the things that he wanted to do.
He was small. Remember how small he got, like 235?
Yeah.
When we were fighting, he got really small. But now he says he's back to 253. And also, like you said, Joe, lingering damage from getting hit by someone like Francis.
Yes.
So all that time away to let the chin refresh, you don't imagine John's going to be so big a puncher that he runs the risk of getting put out fast. It's going to be a fun fight.
Jon Jones got as high as 267 pounds during this training camp. Did not at all like the way he felt at that weight. He has intimated that he might come back a little bit leaner, so we'll see.
He said he wants to get a little smaller the next time he fights.
Kane was at his best at like 240, wasn't he?
Yeah, Kane was like 238, 240 was when Velasquez beat Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
And all those guys is when he was at his best. Jones says he wants to come back about 10 to 15 pounds. Hell, he comes back at 230, he'll be very few pounds heavier than he was at 205, and that would make him really dangerous.
But a much different matchup, to say the least, against Stipe Miocic. All right, this night will be remembered for Jon Jones in large part, but let us not forget what happened just preceding. Alexa Grasso, UFC Women's Flyweight Champion, and not unlike Leon Edwards, she did it by taking out an all-time great.
The most impressive performance of the night was this one, because Jones becoming the heavyweight champion, you could have guessed it. No one guessed that Alexa Grasso was leaving Vegas as the flyweight champion of the world. And at times, she struggled. She struggled with getting taken down. She struggled with defending and getting up. She did great on her feet, but the moment an opportunity presented itself, something showed itself that she was expecting. She jumped on Valentina's back and she strangled her out, made her tap. You know how tight that must have been. Woo! For Valentina to tap.
And it wasn't even under the chin.
No.
It was across the chin. Across the chin and using the face, but you know, with a squeeze like that, and especially with the back of the hand behind the head, so you get full leverage in the choke. I mean, what a victory for Alexa Grasso, and what a victory for Mexico. Boy, they must have been going crazy tonight.
There's gonna be another mirror off.
You know it.
100%.
For 4 years, though, dating to her last loss against Carla Esparza, we've heard about the grappling evolution, how willing she is, and obviously, she was able to get a submission win over Joanne Wood, but a lot of people felt like she was going to be overwhelmed in this environment. You never know until they grapple, right?
Well, you see that right here, right?
When she lets it go, when she taps. Oh, what did you guys do? Why'd you guys get crafty with the edits? Let's try it one more time. They try to go fast forward and shit. Just bring it back, please. Just show what happened. Just show it in real time. You can see it in real time.
It was crazy.
So, but you would say she's got a pretty good squeeze then.
Oh my goodness, it's beautiful because it's really all about the backhand getting behind the neck.
And then you start to drive the head and chest forward.
Yes, it's
right?
so much more leverage.
It's nasty.
Old school, like, you know, the early days of the UFC, they would do it like this.
Yeah.
But then people realized, like,
Alexa
this
was
is
like,
where,
yes.
watch this
Look at her
again.
arms. Look at her arms.
Look how she, and
got
by
that
the way,
you see that
it's very hard to do with the gloves on. Because the gloves get in the way. If this
Look at her tuck her head, Joe.
Choke.
See how she tucks her head right next to her?
Goodness.
Oh my goodness.
It's such a good squeeze. Such a good squeeze.
Valentina almost tapped with the left hand first.
Jodan başlayayımız.
Let's get it started.
All right, well, Shavkat.
Break.
Right here. First of all, congratulations on the victory. Can you walk us through the submission that you pulled off of Jeff? We don't really see standing guillotines standing bulldog chokes like that in the UFC.
Біріншіден құтты болсын. Қалай submission қалай кетті, удушающий айта берші.
Рахмет. Енді ойламаған жерден болды деп айтсам да болады. Негізінде мен қарсыласымды әйтеуір қандай болса да жеңуім керек еді. Өте қуаныштамын.
I didn't really think about that, you know. I was thinking that I have to get him out of there in any way, so I'm happy.
And at Media Day, you said, when we asked you, do you think Jeff was the most powerful opponent that you had faced even before you got to the UFC, and you said you would know after facing him. So now that your fight with Jeff is over, how did you rate his power and his skill set in there?
Перед боем у тебя спрашивают, что является ли Джефф одним из самых таких взрывных, сильных соперников. Ты сказал, что после боя расскажешь. Что ты думаешь?
Мен айта алмаймын ондай қатты жылдам деп. Негізінде не десем болады, бұл жекпе-жек. Мен әрине жеңдім, өте қуаныштамын, бірақ маған бұдан да жақсы бой көрсетуге болатын еді деп ойлаймын. Бұлайна Құдайға шүкір, мың қалла шүкір, осыншама жеңіп, оңай қарсылас емес.
You know, it's a fight. I believe I could perform better. I'm happy that I won. But it's a very tough opponent, very good opponent.
When you say you could have performed better, what specifically do you think you were dissatisfied with in there?
Когда ты говоришь, что ты мог лучше выступить, что именно, в каких аспектах ты считаешь?
Бәр жерде кішкене, не десем, салмақ ауыр болды, біріншіден қарсыласым. Өте ауыр болды. Күрескен кезде де сезілді ғой, ұстасқан кезде де. Мен негізінде, мен ойлаймын, одан бәр жақтан, не десем, навыки у меня лучше, по идее. Қазақша айтқанда, мен одан жақсырақ болдым бәр жақтан.
You know, my opponent missed weight. He was very heavy. I felt it in the clinch position when I was going for takedowns. But I believe I have a better skill set than him. That's why I won.
When you found out how much he had missed weight by, what went through your mind? Were you angry? Were you agitated? Did it not bother you? What exactly went through your mind?
Когда ты узнал, насколько много он перевесил, какие у тебя были мысли? Был ли ты злой, или тебе было все равно?
Әрине, кішкене не десем болады. Салмағы көп болғаннан кейін ойланып қалдым, неге ол жай бір 300-400 грамм емес, 1 килода емес, 2 килограмм деген бұл мынандай деңгейде өте көп салмақ. Сондықтан да мен дайын болдым. Неге дегенде мен қалай жағдай болмасын, мен төбелесенден өткенде январ айда отмена болды бой. Содан кейін қаншама ай дайындалып, бұлайына мен Лас-Вегаске жайдан жай кеп кетуге болмайды ғой енді. Қаншама адамдар күтіп отыр.
You know, it wasn't just a little 300-400 grams. It was 4 pounds. It was a heavy miss. But, you know, also the fight in January got canceled. I wanted to fight. I came to Las Vegas, you know, not for vacation. I wanted to fight to get the fight done.
The final question for me, it seems like you called out either Colby, title shots and everything. So when do you want to get back in there, and how realistic do you think a fight against Colby is?
Ты вызвал на бой Колби или попросил титульный бой? Как быстро ты хочешь вернуться в клетку, и считаешь ли ты реалистично, что Колби согласится?
Клеткеге келуді білмеймін, кішкене демалып өзімізге келіп, алдында Рамазан айы бар, ораза ұстап иншалла. Одан кейін қараймыз, асығыс жоқ. Маған титул берсе, бірақ тезірек қайтуға тырысамын жекпе-жекке. Мен ойлаймын, титульный бой Абу-Даби өте керемет болатын еді. Қазақстаннан жарты арена Қазақстандікі болады, қазақ жанкүйерлеріне.
You know, first I want to get dressed after a fight like that. I'm in no rush, you know, Ramadan months ahead of us. But saying that, you know, title fight in Abu Dhabi will be great, you know. Half of the arena will be full of Kazakhstan fans. It will be great for my country.
Shavkat over here. Being the first fighter to finish Jeff Neal in the UFC, do you think that has earned you a title shot?
Учитывая, что ты первый человек, кто удосрочил Джеффа Нила в UFC, дает ли это тебе шанс подраться за титул?
Әрине, Джефф Нил қаншама мына жерде қаншама мықты қарсыластарымен шыққан болғанмен де ешкім оны досрочно жеңген жоқ. Бүгін маған осы жеңіс, осы досрочно жегу маған бұйырды. Өте қуаныштамын. Мен ойлаймын, титулге мен былай айтқанда шығуыма болады деп ойлаймын. Тек қана оны UFC шешеді, мен дайынмын. Берсе, октябрьда берсе өте әдемі, мен дайындалып та бәр жағынан өспет етемін.
You know, he fought many tough opponents and no one finished him. I was able to do it. I don't know, it's gonna be UFC's decision, but I'm ready for the title shot, and if it's going to be in Abu Dhabi, it's going to be beautiful.
And I know you've trained with Kamaru Usman before. If he ends up defeating Leon Edwards, would it be difficult to fight him just because you've trained together before?
Ты ранее тренировался с Камару Усманом. Если он победит Эдвардса, будет ли какие-то проблемы тебе с ним встретиться?
Ешқандай қарсыласу болмайды деп ойлаймын Османмен. Мен онымен жай ғана бір рет тренировка істегенмін. Ешқандай маған эмоция ештеңе чувствовам да болған жоқ. Онда сондай бір-бірімізге біз қарсылас ретінде қараймыз. Ешқандай бұл кімде титул болса, мен сонымен шыққым келеді.
I don't think it's going to be a problem. We trained just once. I don't have any feelings for him. I believe he had same towards me. I look at him as an opponent. Whoever gets the belt, I'm ready to face him.
And just last one for me. How are you going to celebrate tonight after the victory?
Как будешь праздновать сегодня?
Қазақстан жанкүйерлері бар, осында қазақ бауырларымыз, солардың қасында сөйлесіп, отбасымызбен сөйлесіп, болды, соңғы біздер не тамақ ішіп, басқа не істейміз.
Yeah, I have some Kazakhstan fans who came here to support me. I'm gonna meet them for a meal, then talk to my family over the phone. That's it.
Shavkat back here. Shavkat, I'm wondering, are you gonna go to the London card in 2 weeks to support Rafael Fiziev?
Планируешь ли ты поехать в Лондон на турнир, чтобы поддержать Рафаэля и посмотреть изменения?
Менде виза жоқ, Англияға білмедім, бірақ әрине жақсы болатын еді. Рафаэлға сәттілік тілеймін. Мен ойлаймын, Гейджин Рафаэл ұтып алады деп.
I don't have a visa, but it will be great to go there. I wish good luck to Rafael, and I believe he's gonna beat Gagey.
Out of curiosity, who do you think will win between Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns?
И в бое между Масвидалем и Бёрнсом кто победит, ты думаешь?
Бёрнс.
Thank you.
Ciryl, no,
yeah.
Disappointed right now, I'm sure, just to say the least. But I guess talk to me about what is going through your mind at the moment.
Disappointed, of course, but the biggest feeling is really angry about myself. Really angry because yes, we accepted this fight. It was not a short notice, but the time was not too long. But man, we work a lot. We work a lot, and we spend a lot of time with my team, my sparring partner. So I'm really angry about myself because I spend a lot of time with my partner, my coaches, my family. And I don't have a good reflex during the fight. You see, and so I'm really angry.
I guess what's the most disappointing part for you? I mean, you didn't get to strike a whole lot, or the defensive wrestling. What's most disappointing for you?
For all, for everything, for all of that. On my striking at first, my entrance. I'm gonna talk about my entrance in the game. My start was really not good, and after that, you have an opportunities because we twist. I don't remember exactly how we did that, but you go on the clinch, we go back on the ground. You try to have my back. I defending my back, face to face. He tried to smite me. I was comfortable because he don't have a good guillotine, and I know that. But I was afraid about the referee, and I remember my coach say, "Don't stay on this position. This is a bad position during the training." So I tried to move, and he readapt exactly at this moment when I move, and he fucked me off. Shit.
You're the first one to compete against Jon Jones as a heavyweight. What can you tell us about his, I mean, is he as strong as any other heavyweight, as fast as any other heavyweight? What do you think of him as a heavyweight?
It was a short feeling, but he's a real heavyweight for sure. Unfortunately, yeah, he's a real heavyweight. Yeah, of course.
Last thing for me, I mean, the good thing is you're not hurt, I would imagine. So do you want time away to forget about this, or do you want to book a fight as quick as possible to compete again? What's next for you?
This is a real loss. This is the first real loss I have. You see, I talk about the loss against Francis. It was not a big loss for me. I learned, but it was not too big. But this one, so painful. This one is a real loss. So now, this is the past, and I must to go forward to see the future, and I'm going to go straight back to the gym.
Ciryl, over here, you said after your Francis fight, obviously you took some lessons from him and stuff like that. So what lessons do you think you took from this fight against Jon Jones, even though it was very quick?
Like that, this is still really warm, but the first thing is, the bigger thing is, I'm going to go back straight to the gym, and I'm going to work on my grand game. Yes, he's a really high-level wrestler in a grand game. But we work a lot, but I don't have a good reflex, so I'm really angry about myself. So yeah, we're gonna work on it.
And you had mentioned, obviously, this was a relatively short notice fight. You only got it like 6 or so weeks ago, and you had the hand injury and everything. Do you think if you had had more time to prepare, the outcome could have been differently for you?
We never know. We never know. I'm not sure. Seriously, we did very well. We spent a lot of time at the gym with my team. And no. Seriously, it's not about. I'm not sure. Yes, probably it would be better to have more time. Of course, every time it's better to have more time. But seriously, just about myself.
Last one for me. It seems like Jon Jones is going to fight Stipe next. How do you think that fight will go?
Beautiful fight. I can't see to watch that.
Ciryl back here. In the back?
Yeah.
Just wondering, the fight opens and immediately it's a low blow. Can you just walk me through that? Obviously, even for yourself, the momentum had to feel differently. Get going for a big fight.
Dès le début, il a pris un frappe dans les parties. Est-ce que tu peux revenir dessus?
Yeah. What you want to know about that?
I guess for you, did it throw off a little bit of your focus for it to happen so quickly?
Est-ce que ça t'a déconcentré d'avoir?
Ah no, not really. No, not really. He go. How you say? Il s'est baissé quoi.
Yeah, he bent. He went down.
He went down, and I land my kick, my low kick at the same time, and so just this happening. No, it was okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Ciryl.
Ah, désolé.
On peut en faire quelques-unes en français, s'il vous plaît?
Ouais, bien sûr.
Merci. Je sais que c'était il y a quelques minutes, mais vous arrivez à comprendre ce qui a pu se passer, parce que j'imagine que ça a été gagné par quelque chose, mais que ça arrive aussi vite, c'est évidemment pas ce que vous aviez prévu.
C'est absolument pas ce que j'avais prévu, c'est la raison pour laquelle je suis très énervé contre moi-même. Je ne m'imaginais pas perdre du tout comme ça si ça devait se passer dans ce contexte-là. Donc ouais, très déçu, très énervé de moi-même, et on va prendre le temps de réfléchir à tout ça, à plat, mettre tout ça à plat, savoir qu'est-ce qui n'y a pas été. Mais à chaud comme ça, je dirais que c'était moi. Alors j'ai pas l'impression que en français, mon mindset n'était pas, que j'étais en français
ailleurs.
Que j'ai pas l'impression que j'étais ailleurs ou que j'avais l'impression vraiment d'être concentré. Donc c'est la raison pour laquelle j'étais surpris et que je suis resté sur les fesses, parce que je me suis dit merde, mais ok, il a un bon ground game, on a fait des bonnes choses, mais putain, mais comment ça se fait que je me suis fait avoir, tu vois, c'était un peu ce ressenti-là. Donc là, maintenant, voilà, c'est passé, il faut retourner à la salle.
Est-ce que vous disiez après le combat contre Francis Ngannou que vous aviez fait des erreurs et que vous n'alliez pas les refaire. Est-ce que vous avez le sentiment que là, justement, c'est arrivé si vite que vous avez
C'est
refait
pas
des
exactement la même chose. Avec Francis, on a perdu sur du pointage. Il a su saisir des occasions et utiliser sa force. Là, de la même occasion, je ne sais plus quelle action il y a eu, mais je sais que ça a dérapé. Il a réussi à avoir mon côté et tout de suite, du coup, il m'a amené au sol de cette manière-là. Donc, il a su saisir une opportunité. Il a voulu prendre mon dos, j'ai défendu le dos, j'ai refait face et ensuite j'ai fait des erreurs sur la guillotine. Bon, c'est différent, c'était différent, mais c'était encore des erreurs. Ouais.
Vous êtes connu pour être positif et voilà, toujours regarder la vie de manière positive. Mais là, comment on se relève de cette défaite-là? Vous disiez, c'est la salle directe et c'est le travail. Il y a que ça comme
Oui,
réponse.
c'est la salle, c'est ne pas oublier, mais accepter surtout et aller de l'avant. Ça fait partie du passé, on ne peut pas changer le passé. Maintenant, il faut aller de l'avant et c'est vers l'avant qu'on va pouvoir changer le futur et on va travailler.
L'UFC, c'est pas toujours simple. Enfin, voilà, il faut faire ses preuves. Comment vous pensez que vous allez avoir une nouvelle chance pour un championnat du monde bientôt? Comment il va falloir travailler pour en avoir une nouvelle en fait?
Pour l'instant, j'ai aucune idée de ça. Là, je pense même pas à ça. Je pense plutôt à m'entraîner.
Merci.
Thank you.
All right, gang. The performance of the night went to Jones, Grasso, and Bo Nickel. Fight of the night was, yes, Neil, yes. Who said that? Rakhmonov and Neil, absolutely. Neil didn't make weight. I don't give a shit. I'm paying him anyway. The gate was 12.15 million. Fourth highest gate in UFC history, and the highest gate ever for a heavyweight fight. Attendance was 19,471. It was sold out. John Morgan, what do you got?
Well, we've got to start with the main event, right? Jon Jones closed the show in style. I guess what can you say about his performance to move up to heavyweight 3 years away?
Listen, anybody deny this guy is the GOAT anymore? I don't think anybody would deny it. Not only is he the greatest light heavyweight ever, he looks like the greatest heavyweight ever too. So, I mean, there were a couple of interviews leading up to this fight where he was saying, I'm going to make this look easy. And I thought that was a silly thing to say. The guy is unfucking believable, man. He really is.
I never forget when he claimed the light heavyweight title that you kind of mentioned at the time. You were a little worried about him and how he was going to be in his career and what was going to happen. What do you think now that he's your heavyweight champion? I mean, do you feel like he's a new guy at this point, or you still have concerns about what happens?
You know, let's just put it this way. I mean, Jon Jones fishing out there, but dealing with him is like dealing with an artist is the best way to explain it. And I don't know what's going to happen from here on out, you know? I'm just happy we got to see what we saw tonight. It just, and many of us that have been in the game for a long time, some of you might disagree, some of you might agree. I'm a big believer in ring rust and what it does to you. We didn't even get to see any ring rust. Who knows if there was any ring rust tonight? He just went in there and literally made it look like nothing, like it was the easiest thing in the world for him to do. He's a total freak of nature, and he's the best ever.
Joe Rogan brought up the idea of Stipe at International Fight Week. Is that something that you guys have kicked around, or do you feel like that could be the plan?
I don't know when, but he's definitely fighting Stipe.
I want to ask you about Alexa Grasso as well. Obviously, phenomenal win for her. I guess, what are your thoughts on her as the new flyweight champ?
Yeah, I mean, she looked awesome tonight. Her hands looked really good when she got taken down and was on her back. I loved how busy she was in the guard. And kept moving, kept Valentina working, kept throwing punches. I mean, she came in with an awesome game plan tonight and executed it perfectly. I think a lot of people, including me, thought that Valentina was probably going to be too strong for her, too much for her. She proved everybody wrong, and she looked incredible tonight.
Obviously, we've got to check on health and all those things, but, I mean, given Valentina's long dominance, would you say an immediate rematch is warranted because of what she's accomplished?
I don't know, but, yeah, probably. But sitting right here right now, I haven't even thought of that. Only you guys think of shit like that after just watching what we watched tonight.
I did want to say, I mean, 3 Mexican champions now at this point, pretty incredible. Is it safe to say you'll be going to Mexico sometime this year?
Probably, yeah. It seems like the thing to do. If you look at what's going on with the Mexican champions and fighters right now, wait till this PI is open down there for 5-6 years. Watch what's going to happen in Mexico. It's just, you know, we're finally getting to where I wanted to be with Mexico. Been a big focus of mine since day one. Took a long time, but here we are.
And just last thing for me, I did want to ask you about Shavkat as well. Obviously, fight of the night, you just praise it. But I saw you get up and get out of your seat to go talk to him. So tell me what you think of him.
Well, it's very rare that you'll see me go up into the octagon for a fight that isn't a title fight. But not just him, but Jeff Neal too. I mean, those guys fought their asses off. And there's many times when you don't make weight, you don't get the bonus no matter what happens. There's no way in hell I wasn't going to give that kid the bonus tonight. The heart that he showed tonight, the knees that he took, the punches that he fired back with and landed. And, I mean, you know, both guys just fought an absolute dogfight. I love that fight, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for both of those guys.
Hey, Dana, to your left. You and I have talked a long time about how good Jon would have been if he didn't get in all that trouble or anything. Now that you see him, even though he's older now than he was before, do you think he can be even better as a heavyweight than he was as a light heavyweight?
I don't think that you and I ever really argued about how good he could be. He was. He is. He's always been the great. I mean, through all the things that me and Jones have been through, you know, in both of our careers here, I've never denied that this guy's the best ever. The question is, how big would he be right now? And I say, I mean, you see, he's got the biggest heavyweight fight of all time, one of the top grossing fights. Eric was just telling me tonight, this is going to be one of the biggest social media events we've ever done, et cetera, et cetera. The question is, this guy he should be on Nike commercials. Those are the things when you talk about how big and how great Jon Jones could have been had he not had the personal problems. Those are the questions that we'll never know.
And you look at him now, do you think, given his attitude that he has, he seems so grateful for things, he seems in great condition, that he can go on a long time, right? I mean, who knows what he wants to do, but do you see in him that he has a number of fights in him if he chooses to do that?
I don't know. This is what you get when you're dealing with Jon Jones. I know he wants to fight Stipe. He wants to fight Stipe. He's interested in that fight. If that fight happens, awesome. We get to see this talented freak, perform again. If not, I don't know. Who knows? I told Hunter, charter a jet and send him right back to New Mexico right now. Let's get him home safe and sound.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was like, was Gane, he made Gane not look very good, and Ciryl gets out wrestled by Francis, now comes in this fight. Do you think Ciryl needs to kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of take a look at what he's doing? Obviously a great athlete, but maybe hasn't gotten all the pieces together that he needs to compete against these kind of guys?
Well, the Francis fight, if he doesn't go for the heel hook, he wins that fight. I mean, he made one silly mistake, out of the 5 rounds. Tonight, to even compare Francis Ngannou or Ciryl Gane to Jon Jones, you can't even compare him to this guy. He went in there and finished. I don't know how you got. I still can't fucking believe what I saw. How easy and how fast and how simple he made that look. It's still blowing my mind. So it's hard to even talk about him in any other heavyweights.
Last thing I wanted to ask you is, how much of it do you think in his case is mental? Like, he's a guy, when he focuses, he seems like he raises it up even a higher level than he is, when he's, doing whatever else he does. When he said he didn't train for Gus and he fought a great fight, but then when he does focus, he seems like against DC, he brought it up another level. Do you think that mental aspect of his game could get him higher and bring him to another level in the sport?
I don't know if there is another level. I think he is the level. He's the level. I mean, I've heard stories that I don't know if they're true or not true. I don't know what's true or not true anymore these days. But if the stories are true that I've heard of Jon Jones in the past when he was the dominant light heavyweight champion, wow. Stories of not training. He's had 3 years to put on the weight. A lot of people are saying, I don't know, he looks soft. What if this, that, and blah, blah, blah. Ciryl Gane is a monster in great physical shape and everything else. Jon Jones went in there and just treated him like he was a little kid. So I think he is the level. I don't know if there's any other level higher than Jon Jones.
Dan over here in the front.
Yeah.
I know you gave him a bonus, but can I get a few words on what you thought of Bo Nickal's performance in his debut, only 3-0?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of questions about him, and when you saw his opponent tonight, guy's huge. He's got like 21 fights, ton of experience, and I thought that, listen, he's a human being. I don't care what level of wrestling he's good. This isn't wrestling. This is a completely different game here, and there's adrenaline dumps. There's the nervous energy, all the things of performing in the UFC for the first time. Man, he blew all that right out of the water. He went in there. He looked incredible, and Mick came over to me after and said, he wasn't even applying that choke the right way, and he still got that choke and choked him. So, I mean, wait till that kid's been in this sport 2-3 years.
So how do you manage, going off of that, how do you manage his future going forward? Because he's clearly very talented, but his record is, 4-0, 5-0. It might be difficult to matchmake for him going forward.
Yeah, well, if he's fighting a guy 3-0 with 21 fights, and as big as the kid that he fought tonight and strong. I mean, you see the legs on that kid? I don't know. I think he's there. I think this guy could possibly go out and, I mean, when you look at the early days of the UFC, and it's hard to compare that to now, but guys like Cain Velasquez fought for a title when he was 8-0 or something like that. You know what I mean? So who knows? When you have that much talent, and he's only going to get better, and every fight that he gets is the kind of experience that he needs. Like Rakhmonov, right? He's 16-0, but tonight's fight will take him to another level. When you fight a guy like Neil, who puts on a performance like he did tonight, and not just testing him as far as his physical and cardio and all the other things, testing his chin, his heart, that's what helps take these guys to another level.
And Cody Garbrandt obviously got back into the win column too, not the firefight we're accustomed to seeing from him in recent fights. So what did you make of his performance?
With who?
Cody?
Yeah. You know what? I was crazy busy in the back. I had a ton of crazy shit going on back there tonight, and I didn't see any fights before. I saw Derek Brunson on, but I missed the Cody fight because I was dealing with some stuff back. Nothing bad, just work stuff.
So Derek Brunson's corner threw in the towel.
Yeah, I saw that.
So what did you make of that?
I thought the fight should have been stopped, and I applaud his corner for throwing in the towel. Seen a few fights here that I thought should have been stopped by the referee. Not tonight, but I'm just saying in the UFC. And I thought the corner should have thrown in the towel.
Unrelated to this fight card, but is there a location for the May 6th card? Because Newark seems to be what everyone's saying, but I think I saw in an interview where you said Vegas might want the Cinco de Mayo fight week because Canelo is in Mexico that week.
Champions, and I, we were trying to figure it out. Canelo had the date, and not that I wouldn't go, but it's an Eddie Hearn fight, and I like Eddie Hearn. I'm not going to try to do that, but yeah, just I don't know. We don't know yet. We're still talking about it and working on it.
Dana back
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, buddy, go ahead.
Dana, on the topic of Mexican champions, people are wondering about the future for Amanda Nunes and if Irene Aldana is the next woman up potentially for her.
Yeah, no, we're working on a fight for Aldana right now.
Is it the title?
I don't know yet.
And then secondly, just talking a little bit more about the card, Ian Gary stays undefeated, overcame some adversity, already has the Conor McGregor stamp of approval. Just what are your thoughts on his performance and his run so far in the UFC as a prospect?
Yeah, I didn't see the fight. I just saw the finish on the replay. But yeah, no, he's a stud, man. And from what I hear, he got clipped early and came back and had a great finish. I didn't see the fight yet, though.
Dracus Duplessis gets a win over a top-ranked guy, and people wondering, hey, is he already in that talk for potential title eliminator? Just want your thoughts on the future for him.
That was an awesome fight, too. Great fight. And, obviously a huge win for him beating Brunson in such a war. And, he just knocked off one of the top guys, so we'll see what's next for him.
Dana.
Yep.
Hey, Dana.
Yep.
I'm from Brazil, so how is the launch of the new Fight Pass in Brazil? How is it going?
How's the launch of Fight Pass going?
Yeah.
Good. I think it's going great. Actually, it's funny you asked me that. I have a meeting for that this week. They're presenting to me this week, so I'll know more about it at the next press conference.
Text me when you know more then.
I will.
Dana back here. I'm behind all these cameras. Question about Valentina. She had talked earlier in the week that she was open to a fight with Amanda. Can that fight happen without her having a belt?
It wouldn't make much sense. Had she won tonight, I mean, it would make a lot more sense. It would be like a super fight, but yeah, probably not. And I'm sure she's probably more interested in Alexa Grasso right now than.
And then, as a follow-up, you mentioned the gate and about it being the highest heavyweight grossing fight of all times. How did the fight trend throughout the week? Did it pick up later in the week as Jon spoke and was more available to the media? Or was it trending high kind of throughout once it was announced?
Yeah, well, not once it was announced. Once we start fight week on Monday, once Monday started and content starts going up, it was big. I mean, every single post on my Instagram alone that has anything to do with the fight is over a million views, and I think the press conference stare downs were like at over 3 million. So I was saying earlier, it's going to be one of the biggest fights ever on social media.
Dana, right here. I'm curious. Tonight we saw them film some scenes from Roadhouse, and yesterday as well. What was that like, just having all that going on, and how did that all?
I mean, it went pretty smooth considering I don't really like doing stuff like that. So it went pretty smooth.
How do you feel you did during the stare down? Do you feel you're?
Well, if I can't fucking do that, I don't know. I don't know what I can do. That's about as much acting as I want to do ever.
And what's the process like when they're doing a movie like that? We saw a little bit with the Halle Berry movie, but getting all the UFC related stuff in that movie, is that something that took a long time to negotiate, or was it easy?
Well, Joel Silver is the producer on this thing, and he has a great relationship with us and obviously with Ari Emanuel, and Connor is one of the big characters in the movie, so we made it pretty easy for him.
Speaking of Connor, we had Michael Chandler back here earlier in the night, and he seemed to be getting a little antsy as far as figuring out a date. He said he had his team ask your people maybe September or something like that. Is there any update on when we could maybe see this fight?
Trust me, if there was, you would have heard about it already. As soon as there is, we'll announce it. But no, not yet.
And speaking of lightweights, we had Islam Makhachev I saw here tonight. I know you said last week that you want him and Volk to defend, and Volk's going to do Yair. Any idea who Islam could potentially fight next?
No, we haven't really talked about that yet. You know, obviously, it was a no-brainer after the fight who Volkanovski would fight. Yair looked incredible and absolutely dominant. And then we'll figure out what's next for Islam.
Yeah, we have that fight with Beneil and Charles coming up in May. I know Dustin Poirier has been kind of outspoken, maybe wanting that shot. Is there any chance maybe he's someone you consider?
That he wants what?
He wants the shot maybe at Islam next.
Got it. Yeah, no, we really haven't even talked about that yet. There's been so much shit going on. We haven't even had a matchmaking meeting in like 2 weeks. So we got to get our shit together after this event.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dana down here to your right. Dana.
Yep.
To your right here. You touched on how impressed you were with Shavkat Rakhmonov. He called out Colby Covington afterwards. I know you don't make fights straight afterwards, you always say it, but is that something that makes sense?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's fun. That's a fun one.
In Abu Dhabi, as Jose asked?
Oh, I'm not making the fight. I'm just saying, yeah, that sounds fun. I didn't know he did that, but we'll see.
And it's been over a year, like pretty much to the day since Colby last fought for Masvidal right here. Do you guys have an update on him at all, or?
On Colby?
Yes.
Yeah, Colby's ready to fight. He's ready to fight, and he's ready to fight anybody. I know we've reached out to him for a couple of different fights, and he said yes to it, but it just didn't work out.
And I don't mean to potentially put a dampener on Jon's major success that he has right here, but he said he's not getting lit this weekend, but he's got an after party here in Vegas. Does that at all worry you slightly?
He has an after fight party here?
Yes, he does. I think it's at Hakkasan. Not that I'm plugging tickets or
There's a billboard for it on the street.
Is there really?
Yeah. So does that worry you at all slightly? I mean,
it does a little bit, yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank
you.
you.
Like I said, I told Hunter, charter a fucking plane and get him back to New Mexico ASAP. I didn't know he had an after party, but.
Thank you.
Dana?
Thank you. Yep.
Dana?
Yep.
From a business perspective, it's of course great that Jon Jones won tonight, but the fact that Ciryl Gane lost and he was like the French fighter in UFC, and you guys had a big event last September in France. Do you see that maybe as as a problem for the growth of the sport in France? Or?
You know, it's funny. Eric was telling me tonight that the UFC is the top 13 trends in France. He said that's unheard of. It's just that type of stuff never happens. So I don't look at things that way as far as the business goes, because whoever wins, wins. And it is what it is. It's like we were talking about, Mexico has been a huge focus for me for a very long time. And here we are in 23, and it's all just starting to align now, where we have 3 Mexican-born champions. We're building a PI there. It's just, you do what you can do, you focus on certain areas, you build the business, and then it's all out of your hands once that cage door shuts. It's up to them, it's not up to us, and we just have to go with whatever happens, Ciryl Gane is from France, but he's still one of the best heavyweights in the world. It's just Jon Jones is so much better than everybody else. It's crazy.
Dana, when Michael Chandler was back here, he said that him and Conor have not really liked each other as much as he thought they would, and actually there's a bit of contention in filming of Tough. Has there been any incidents between those two?
That who didn't like each other?
Michael Chandler says him and Conor are not friends.
He and Conor are not friends? That's weird.
How's the filming?
Did anybody think they were friends?
I think they liked each other before they started filming.
You think that what?
They liked each other before they started filming. Michael said he thought he was going to get on with Conor, and since filming...
Oh, Michael?
Yeah, Michael Chandler.
Oh, Chandler. All right, I don't hear well. Thought you said Makhachev.
No.
Where are you from, buddy, that you think those two were going to be friends? Yeah, but they did. Chandler and Conor were very respectful to each other. And then some things started escalating that you'll see on the show. And, yeah, they do not like each other now. A lot of shit went down on Friday. Yeah.
Good for the show, though?
I don't look at stuff that's good for the show or things like that. Whatever happens, happens. The stuff that just happened shouldn't have happened, and I'm getting old, boys. I'm getting old. I would have been in there sooner, back in the old days, but yeah, not good.
Did it get physical?
There was a lot of shit that went down on Friday. Yeah.
Dana over here. Just a quick one. We had Marc-Andre Barriault win earlier tonight. When are you coming back to Canada? September 2019 was the last event in Vancouver. Is there anything in the works at all? A lot of Canadians are wanting to know.
Yeah, tonight was a massive event in Canada. We were trending really, really big in Canada for pay-per-view. And obviously, Canada's been an incredible market for us since the early days. So we're trying to get back to everywhere right now. But yeah, we're going to get to Canada soon. We're working on that now and figuring that out. There's just, because of the COVID thing, you know, there's so many places that we haven't been in a lot. I mean, we're going back to Miami for the first time in 20 years. So the answer is yes.
Would Montreal be near the top of that list just because they haven't, I think out of all the cities, they've been kind of the one that's been the longest without an event, and that used to be a mainstay when George St. Pierre was in the UFC. Is that something you're looking at?
Well, obviously, Toronto is a big one for us. You know, that's the one that I always think is, when we go back to Canada, we go to Toronto, it'll be a massive event. And then once and I'm not saying that's what we're doing, I'm just off the top of my head right here. But you get in Toronto and then you start moving around Canada like we did when we first went into the country.
Dana, sorry, just one more quick one for you.
Yeah.
Can you clarify what happened with Darren Till's release? He said he came to you guys and asked to be let go, but you know, online fans think because of his losing skid, maybe you guys released him.
They think that what?
That maybe you guys like cut him because of his recent losses, but he says you guys, or he came to you and requested his release.
Well, like Darren Till said, we have an incredible relationship with Darren Till. We like him and we respect him very much. And, you know, let me just put it to you this way. Darren Till's not the only guy that's ever come to us and said, I just can't compete here anymore. You know what I mean? And, no, he did ask for his release, and we did release him.
He says he wants to be back in like 2-3 years or something. Is that something you'd be open to if he maybe gets back on track a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what his plans are for outside of the UFC, but you know, he's a guy that we've had a great relationship with. We really like him, and obviously we wish him the best. And if he gets to a level where he thinks he's ready to come back to the UFC, yeah, we would probably do it. Yep.
Hey, Dana, one final question to your left here. What did Brady say about Jon Jones?
What did who say?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady?
What did he say about Jones?
Yeah, I mean, he was he loves Jon Jones, you know, and obviously everybody. I mean, everybody in the arena was blown away by what happened tonight. And but yeah, he's a Jon. He flew in today from Florida to see the fight, so he's a fan. And him and Chandler got to hook up again tonight before he walked out. Got to see him, and but yeah, that's it.
Dana, one quick one. A lot of fans on Twitter are talking about like that result makes them want to see Francis fight more. Is that road like completely done now?
They want to see Francis do what?
Fight Jones still even more because of that. Because
I tried to make that fight. Yeah.
So is that like completely done now? Like
Done. Never gonna happen. We tried to make that fight with him for 3 years. You gotta want that fight. Doesn't matter what listen. We all want to see a fight. The guy's gotta want the fight. Francis doesn't want the fight. You can't make him fight. And I doubt it would have gone any differently.
Dana, down to your right. Do you know what happened with Jon Jones's foot when he was walking into the octagon? It seemed like there was a problem with some tape he had on it.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. I think he tried to tape his feet and the commission didn't let him do it when he walked out. Yeah, I didn't find out what that was about yet.
And obviously he's 35, but other than Stipe, do you think Jon will be around for a lot longer? Like, if you fight Stipe, is there anyone else really, or do you think he'll leave?
Well, like I was telling Kevin earlier, Jon Jones is one of those guys that so good, so talented, but like I said, he's like dealing with an artist. And he makes a lot of money, man. Not a lot of people can say, you know what, I'd take 3 years off and not work. So who knows? I mean, he wants to fight Stipe, so we'll make the Stipe fight, and then whatever he wants to do after that, we'll be lucky if we get to see him again, you know. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he retires after that. I don't know.
Finally, we're back in London in a few weeks. I know you love a London fight night, so
yeah.
How excited are you for Edwards and Usman 3?
I'm excited. I got the slap finale coming up next weekend, and then I jump on a plane and go right to Boston. We're filming Looking for a Fight, and then I go to England for the fight. So I got a fun couple weeks coming up. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll land in England like the day of St. Paddy's Day, which I heard is awesome there too. So I'm looking forward to all of it.
Hey, Dana,
Thanks.
over here.
Yep.
Keith Whittier with Auto Life Magazine. First of all, congratulations to you and your team for a fantastic night of fights.
Thank you.
Over the course of the 30 years of the UFC, there have been many amazing accomplishments, breaking down barriers like years ago, fighting in New York would have been unheard of, and now it's just a thing. What's the next big accomplishment that you and your team are looking at?
Fighting in New York would have been unheard of. Now we're number 1, number 2, and number 4 all time at Madison Square Garden. I'm the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. I mean, my team, you'd have to ask them themselves, but what I'm looking forward to is obviously the PI that's opening in Mexico, the type of talent that's going to come out of there in the next 5 or 6 years, and opening a PI in Africa and doing our first event in Africa. Those are really the 2 things that I'm the most excited about right now. So the PI and the fight in Africa is something that I need to get done before my time here is done.
Dana, you actually led into my question. Is there an update on getting the PI in Africa, getting an event in Africa?
Working on the PI in Mexico first. Like I was saying, I was telling one of the reporters the other day, you know, these PIs are crazy expensive. And what it is it's a huge reinvestment in the sport and into the talent that's possibly out there. So we're going to get this thing built, get it up and running, and once that thing's up and running smoothly, then we'll start looking at Africa and putting together a timeline to build one where, and you know, because you gotta fly a whole team out there, and they figure out where the best place is and look at the property and figure all that stuff out, and then we got to look at the cost, and it takes a minute.
Hey Dana.
Yep.
Bo Nickal's probably the most hyped prospect since Khamzat Chimaev. How would you compare the hype from Bo Nickal to Khamzat Chimaev thus far?
I don't know. It's different. You know, it's so different because, you know, Bo comes from, you know, collegiate background, you know, more well-known going into this thing than Khamzat was. Khamzat fights on Fight Island during COVID. Then he jumps out and tells me he wants to fight again next weekend, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. And you know, that whole Khamzat thing just started rolling organically after that. Two totally different types of hype.
And lastly, what would you make of Jake Gyllenhaal's physique at 185-pound division for the movie Roadhouse?
Listen, what can I say? He looks good. I don't think he's been USADA tested, but he looks great.
Paulo Costa's secret juice might have helped him.
What's that?
Maybe he's using too much of Paulo Costa's secret juice.
Possibly. Go ahead, sir.
Dana, Shavkat Rakhmonov has been long compared to Khamzat Chimaev, except he just doesn't speak English, right? But the skill-wise, skill for skill, is Shavkat just someone that you can get behind? Like, how close is he to contender status, title shot?
Well, tonight was a big night for him, obviously, not just because he won, but that he was in a dogfight and in a war. And you know, you guys saw at the weigh-ins that day. He got a big pop at the weigh-ins already, and then you go in and you beat a guy like Neil, and you beat him the way that you did, in an absolute, you know, when you think about all the things that we love as fight fans, it doesn't get any better than that. That's why I'm paying it. This kid didn't make weight, and it's a rule. It's a law. If you are a professional, if you don't show up here and you don't make weight, you don't get a bonus, period. And I don't think we've ever cracked on that. After that fight, I was like, I don't give a shit if he made weight or not, man. We're paying that dude 50 grand. That was incredible. Both guys had incredible heart. You couldn't watch a better fight than that. It was awesome, and I love that shit. So anyway, that isn't even what you asked me, but
one final.
Yeah, he's in a good place. Yeah.
One final for me. Speaking of Khamzat Chimaev, there's been reports that he's moving up to middleweight permanently. Can you confirm that?
I hope so. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, over here.
Yep.
David Potter, good seeing you again. Congratulations also on an incredible night, incredible evening, great fights. You've had a relationship with Jon Jones since he was 21 years old, and 2 years later he has the weight in the world on his shoulders as a world champion, having to grow as a person with millions and millions of people watching, and being called the GOAT at such a young age. How would you describe his growth as a person and also his growth as a fighter?
Yeah, I think that winning the championship at 21 and becoming famous and making a lot of money, some people handle it well and some people don't. We've seen guys just completely go off the rails, and Jon Jones is a very unique case because he's gone off the rails, but he's managed to. He's almost like a functional, he's been able to do what most people couldn't do, even if they were straight. If they walked a straight line, they couldn't do what Jon Jones has done. So, I don't know. He's a unique individual. He's different than everybody else. And like I said earlier, he's special. He's just different, and he's the greatest of all time. There's no denying it now. And I don't even really know how to answer your question. Yeah.
We're heading towards the end of Power Slap, the first season. I happen to like the product. I love the product. I think it's going to take a little bit longer for people to jump on the bandwagon. The same people that criticize Power Slap are the same people that share videos of people getting viciously and brutally knocked out. I like the product, but how long do you think people are going to climb on the bandwagon just like they did with MMA?
Listen, what I've gone through with Slap is deja vu from UFC. Exact same thing. It wasn't fucking media like this here. Back then, it was nobody. We literally would try to beg people to show up to our press conferences. Nobody covered the UFC in the early days. People act like they did now, but they're full of shit.
Yeah, Sherdog and UG were probably the only...
That's it. And those guys didn't have the money to travel around to some of the places that we went to do fights. We were at a press conference one time. I've told the story before, and I don't know how we got the couple of media people that were there, but one guy was Spanish, Mexican. It was a Mexican newspaper or something, and I had Tito Ortiz up there, and the guy goes, Tito, blah, 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 starts talking to Tito. Tito goes, I don't speak Spanish. I shit you not, the guy got up and walked out of the press conference. He was one of two guys that were there. So, if you look at Slap, it's identical to everybody in the media ripping it apart, and I just, in a couple weeks, I'll let you guys know, and I can't wait to say I told you so.
And one more question from me. Jake Gyllenhaal, obviously, filming Roadhouse. Great scenes that were filmed yesterday, also the fight scenes. I personally think it was a late stoppage with that flying knee. So how was the business relationship been for them to come in and say, hey, we want to do filming? What was the process of getting that done?
Well, I said it earlier. We have a good relationship with Joel Silver, and he's one of the biggest producers ever. I mean, if you look at the movies he's made, it's every movie we ever watched growing up, from Weird Science to, you name it. This guy's done it. And he was actually, Lorenzo and I went and met with him many years ago, like 15 years ago. And, we were talking about the UFC, and he ended up putting Tito, Chuck, and Randy in a couple of his movies. What was it? The ones with Jet Li. When they Jet Li and DMX, and I can't remember the name of the movies.
Cradle to the Grave.
Yes, Cradle to the Grave. Thank you. And, that was what started our relationship with Joel Silver. And then he's very close to Ari, so we were willing to do this with him.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much, Dana.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Hey Dana, Jon Jones is the GOAT. Who do you have in your top 5 of all time?
Shit, right here off the top of my head. I mean, you got to go Jones, GSP, Anderson Silva, and 2 more that I can't think of right now off the top of my head. But yeah, those are my top 3.
And one more, Dana, I'm sorry.
What's that?
Can you take me back to your first meeting with Jon Jones? What was that like, your first time you ever met him?
Oh, shit, I don't remember. That was a long time ago, man. I don't remember my first ever meeting with him. Yeah, I have no clue. You guys done with me? Have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
Hello.
Alexa, congratulations. I imagine you're still kind of processing everything that's happening, but can you put into words what your emotions are right now?
Well, imagine that, you know, I won the most important fight of my life. I did everything I had to do to get my hand raised, and I knew that I had to finish the fight no matter what.
You've been working towards this moment for a long time. I guess, how did you feel going in tonight? Did it feel as you expected? More nerves than usual? What was it like?
Honestly, I was super excited. You know, I was super happy. Like I said before, I dreamed with this moment like 3 months, I guess. Like every single night I was dreaming the way I walk into the octagon, the way I was fighting, and at the end, getting my hand raised and the belt.
You won the opening round, and then she made some adjustments, and she won the next two. I'm just curious how you felt the flow of the fight was going. Did it feel like it was slipping away, maybe, or did you feel competitive? Like, how did it feel in there?
Yeah, well, when I realized that I was touching her with my hands, she changed the strategy. She was taking me to the ground. She's so fast, I was not able to defend. But when I was on the ground, I always told myself, you have to go up again and again and again, and you won't stop until you get up. And that's what I did. In the fourth round, my coaches told me, like, lower your level, like, a little bit, and I was able to defend better. And yeah, I was just hoping that she was doing the spin, and it happened like Jojo thing. I knew that it was able, and it was easier to take the back on that moment, so I was just waiting for the perfect opportunity.
And the back take was incredible. You know, we call you a boxer, right? We always talk about your boxing. Is there something especially satisfying about winning the title with a submission?
Well, it feels great. I've been improving my jiu-jitsu for so long, like, as you can notice. And this means a lot to me. Now I'm finishing fights, which is amazing. It's truly amazing. I truly want to finish my fights now, and I'm getting more mature. I'm getting better as a fighter, and I'm showing that.
And last thing for me, we don't know what your next fight will be, what your first defense will be, but you know, Valentina says she wants a rematch. Do you want a rematch so that you could prove, like, I can do this twice, or is it do you care if you fight her again or not?
Of course, you know, she was so dominant in the division. Of course, we can do this again.
Alexa, right here. That spin, when you saw her go for that spinning attack and you pounced on it, was that a technique you knew or an opening you saw? Because I remember at Media Day, you said you could see some of her weaknesses, but you didn't want to get specific. Is that one of the ones you had noticed in preparation?
Well, we knew that she was going to spin, and like I said, it was easier to take the back from that position, so I was just waiting for that moment.
And you are, of course, the first Mexican women champion in UFC history. So what does it feel like for that in history?
Well, imagine that. I was born, raised, trained 100% in Mexico all my life. You know, when we started, we were used to be told, like, no, you will never achieve it, you will never have a belt, you will never make it to the UFC. But man, we were working really hard. I have an amazing team behind me. This is my family, my uncle, my dad, my coaches. All my teammates now, we're fighting 5 rounds. We have a lot of talent in my gym, and I'm so proud of that.
And when Brandon won his belt, he became a superstar in Mexico. His life changed. He can't walk around without being recognized. Are you prepared for a life like that, where when you go out in Mexico, now everyone is going to know who you are?
Well, it happens like pretty often, and I'm happy that people can recognize me. I always like that people know about me for my dedication, my work, and now for being a champion. Imagine that. It's great.
And the final one for me, Dana says he now has to look really hard in Mexico again because you have 3 champions, and Irene might have a fight coming up soon too. Are you hoping your first title defense, possibly the rematch, could be in Mexico City?
Well, that will be amazing. Thank you.
Felicidades, Alexa,
Gracias.
por el triunfo. Habla un poquito cómo fue el trabajo sabiendo que Valentina es tan buena grappler, ¿cómo fue ese trabajo? Y segundo, te han llamado ya de México, ¿qué te han dicho la gente? ¿Y cómo crees que esto abra puertas para más mujeres mexicanas en las MMA?
Sabía que es una peleadora muy completa, muy difícil. Me llevó al piso, me puso en la posición de crucifix, pero cuando yo estaba ahí dije, no voy a parar hasta salir de aquí. No me van a detener aquí la pelea. Yo no voy a terminar en esta posición como muchos otros oponentes que ha tenido. Entrené de verdad no sabes cuántas veces esa posición para poder salir de ahí. Y los entrenamientos era hasta que te salgas y hasta que te salgas y hasta que te salgas. Y así fue. En la pelea fue lo mismo. Yo dije, me tengo que parar y tengo que terminar esta pelea sí o sí. Estuvo difícil, pero yo sabía, como siempre se los he dicho, no es imposible.
Alexa, back here.
Estoy muy contenta por ser la primer campeona mexicana entrenada, nacida en México 100%, y bueno, espero que esto pueda abrir una gran puerta para todas las atletas que vienen detrás de nosotros.
Alexa, no eras la favorita y la gran mayoría de la gente pensaba que iba a ganar Valentina, su octava defensa. ¿Qué tú le puedes decir, primera pregunta, a esa gente que no te tenían de favorita y que pensaban que Valentina iba a ganar por su experiencia, por su trayectoria? ¿Qué tú le puedes decir ahora después de haber vencido a Valentina?
Pues yo creo que es normal, ¿no? Cuando tenemos un campeón tan dominante y tiene oponentes, siempre uno va a tener como por favorito, ¿no?, al campeón, pero ahora espero que las personas me conozcan, que sepan quién soy, que sepan de mi trabajo, de lo disciplinada que he sido todos estos años y pues que me apoyen.
Te lo preguntaron en inglés, pero quería escucharlo en español. Todos decíamos, ¿no? Todos decían, tú eres una boxeadora, tú vas a ganar arriba y le ganas a una especialista abajo también. ¿Te da más satisfacción haberla sometido? ¿Te da más satisfacción haberle ganado en su territorio?
Yo sabía que tenía que terminar la pelea, no importaba si era arriba o en el piso. Entrené mucho mi jiu-jitsu. Yo sabía que era una posibilidad grande de poder finalizar la pelea y bueno, pasó.
Y a la última, rapidito, ¿te sentías que estabas abajo en la pelea, que estabas perdiendo?
Pues creo que fueron rounds muy cerrados, estábamos como mitad y mitad. Cuando estaba en el piso, creo que fue en el segundo, ese sí, creo que sí lo perdí el segundo round, pero después de eso dije, no, yo no voy a perder esta pelea por nada del mundo.
Muchas felicidades.
Gracias.
Alexa, felicidades por el campeonato. Hay muchos motivos por el cual estar contento esta noche. Para ti, ¿qué fue lo más dulce esta noche?
Lo más importante pues es que estoy bien, que estoy completa, que gané mi pelea y pues el cinturón que me lo llevé. Creo que todo en conjunto está increíble, que tengo mi equipo aquí, mi familia, muchas personas aquí apoyándome y no puedo pedir nada más que eso.
¿Y cómo calificas este momento de México con 3 campeones y cómo lo calificas?
Yo siempre me habían preguntado que qué le faltaba a México para tener más campeones en la UFC y siempre dije que era cuestión de tiempo. En México tenemos un gran semillero de guerreros de corazón y bueno, lo estamos demostrando.
Alexa, back here. For all of the little Mexican girls that watched you tonight at their house and are thinking about maybe, trying martial arts, what's your message to them?
To the girls?
To the little Mexican girls that were watching you tonight all around the world.
Oh, like I always say, I wish that every single woman on this earth can learn mixed martial arts. It's important for all of us to learn to defend ourselves, and it's not just about the physical thing, it's about the mental game, your heart, your feelings. It keeps you always strong, avoid dangerous situation, avoid dangerous people, avoid unhealthy things for yourself, and I just truly hope that every single woman on this planet can learn mixed martial arts. Maybe not to fight, but I truly believe that all women should train.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexa, back here. Alexa, when they talk about going to Mexico for an event from Guadalajara, same city as Canelo, do you feel like you might text Dana and say, hey, I know you're thinking maybe Mexico City, but I got one more option for you?
Well, we're still missing one champion, Irene. So I hope that we can have an event in Mexico City and we can have another Mexican champion.
Dana said maybe she gets the next title shot. People get in there with Valentina and it seems like maybe a little intimidated, maybe, she's so dominant and everything. How did you handle those emotions going into the fight?
This was the toughest camp of my life. I trained really hard. My coaches were super strict with me. So strict with me. I was training with guys, like heavier guys, and I think that was the key for the success. You know, I was always in bad position, always in bad situations. I was always hustling and hustling every single day, and well, this is the the result.
My final question, you know, once upon a time, Dana White says, Alexa, Ronda Rousey of Mexico. Obviously, your career, some wins, some losses. When you think about the journey to become a champion, what are you most proud of that you overcame to get here?
Well, everything. I just think that I got more mature as I'm getting older now. 29. I feel like I'm in a perfect season of my life. I'm enjoying a lot more, you know, training, everything. I'm enjoying a lot more everything I do. And yeah, my name is Alexa Grasso, and I'm the new flyweight champion.
Hey, Alexa, over here. I heard you speak Portuguese. Do you mind if I ask you something in Portuguese?
Eu vou tentar.
Ok. Manda um recado pro pessoal que tá te assistindo. Como que foi a luta? Como é que você está se sentindo nesse momento? Parabéns pela vitória. O Brasil torceu muito por você.
Muito obrigada pelo apoio. Eu estou muito feliz. Eu cheguei aqui com a mentalidade de eu vou sair desse lugar só sendo a campeã. Então, é isso que eu fiz. Eu treinei muito forte. Eu estou muito feliz pela equipe que eu tenho. Eu sou a campeã agora.
Você é faixa roxa de jiu-jitsu?
Sim, eu sou.
Como que você se sentiu finalizando com jiu-jitsu a poderosa campeã?
Eu tenho que treinar mais. Meus professores, eles sempre falam que eu tenho que fazer mais jiu-jitsu com kimono. Então, é isso que eu vou fazer, porque eu quero meu faixa marrom. Eu vou fazer mais jiu-jitsu como eles pedem para mim, para eu poder ter um grau, uma cinta nova, mas é um compromisso que eu tenho. Eu estou treinando muito forte meu chão. Eu estou muito agradecida com eles.
Eu acho que você mereceu a faixa marrom hoje. Parabéns, obrigado.
Eles não acham. Eles precisam de mim e treinar muito mais em kimono.
Obrigado.
Obrigada.
When did you learn Portuguese?
I have like 2 years learning Portuguese. Like my coaches are from Brazil, and I've been watching movies in Portuguese, listening music in Portuguese, reading in Portuguese, Duolingo, and most of like training with them and learning with them.
Yeah, Mexico is obviously a big boxing country. How much do you think your success tonight can help MMA grow and maybe getting competition with boxing in Mexico?
Well, MMA is a new sport. We have 30 years now in the UFC. Now, the UFC is having 30 years. It's a huge moment for MMA. I know that the sport is growing so much. I hope this can be an amazing season. We're still missing another championship fight, my teammate Irene, so we can have now 4 champions from Mexico. And I think it's a great moment for all of us. We are all achieving great things. You are watching how we are evolving. And it's just a big moment for us. Thank you.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Jon, congratulations. You've had more than your share of championship victories throughout your career, but I guess this one might feel a little different, a little special. I guess, can you put into words what this one means to you?
I'm just so grateful. I'm very grateful. Without my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I would have never made it this far. And I just want to acknowledge him in everything that I am and everything that I do. I want to thank everybody out there who prayed for me. I felt their energy, and I'm very grateful. This fight means a lot. It means a lot. I'm humbled by it, and it just goes to show that no matter what happens in life, if you just continue to strive, put one foot in front of the other, the sky's the limit, and this world really can be your oyster. I've never felt more at peace. I've never felt more happy. Last night at my fight dinner, I almost cried. I felt like I was living in a dream. I looked around and I just saw so many leaders. A lot of my friends these days are great business owners. They're great dads. They're great friends. They're men of substance. I got really great men and women in my life. My fiance, my beautiful daughters, my fiance's support system, her friends. Yeah, I'm just really happy. I'm really happy. I feel like my whole world is a byproduct of the people that are in my life. So I just want to thank every single one of my supporters, my fans. Without them, I wouldn't be much. Love you too.
Can you talk about the feeling as you stepped in there tonight, right? I mean, it's been 3 years. You're up a weight class against a very big dude. I mean, was there a different nervous kind of energy than usual when you got in there?
I mean, Ciryl Gane has a great physique. We all know that. The guy looks like a bodybuilder. But, my coaches reminded me, Jon, Thiago Santos had a really awesome physique. Vitor Belfort had muscles in his earlobes. And so it was just like, it's not a bodybuilding competition. At the end of the day, it's about heart, it's about grit, it's about wanting to be out there. And my buddy Brian McKenzie, he said something to me right before I went out to the cage. He said, like neurologically, a cow and a lion, they feel the same emotions when they're fighting. They're both pumped up with adrenaline. He said the only difference is the lion actually wants to be there. And it was a perfect thing to say to me in a moment because I was nervous. And he reminded me, bro, it's normal. And do you want to be here? And at that moment I was like, oh yeah, I want to be here. And I want more. And I just went out there with a very offensive mindset. And we got it done. I'm not sure if I answered your question or not. I'm just talking.
That's all right. And talk to me, I mean, obviously we knew the wrestling skills would be there, but at heavyweight, you hadn't wrestled at heavyweight before. So I guess how did it feel in there? Was it more difficult? Did you feel the strength as an issue when you went through the wrestling sequences?
I really do believe that I'm one of the strongest heavyweights in the heavyweight division. When I was a light heavyweight, people would say all the time, Jon is a lot stronger than what he appears to be. Almost every opponent, can say that. And now that I've been powerlifting and living a martial arts lifestyle, I really truly believe that I'm the strongest heavyweight in the heavyweight division. There's guys that can do a lot of things probably more than me. Guys can squat more than me, bench more than me. But when it comes to just total strength and muscular endurance and knowing how to pace yourself and knowing how to use endurance, I believe I'm one of the most fit athletes in the game, whether I look like it or not. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. I think some of my best performances are going to be coming within the next year or so.
Well, like you said, performances, so that means more than one. But I guess you made it clear that you said you want Stipe next. A timeline? Is there anything? I mean, are you have a date circled on the calendar yet, or do you have an idea like what would make the most sense for you?
I got to talk to my coaching staff and see how, what they think. But we took 0 damage tonight, and I'm getting right back to practice. My buddy Maurice Green has a fight coming up in the PFL. Jorgen De Castro has a fight coming up in the PFL, and I owe it to my team to take the back seat and be the training partner. And that's exactly what we got to do. We get right back to work. And I believe in my next fight, I'll go into it with a different level of confidence, an even higher level of confidence. I believe that I'm going to look really great. I'm going to have even higher endurance than I had today, which is going to be hard to beat because I'm in really great condition. And these guys in the back acting like nuts. I can't take you guys anywhere. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the next fight is going to be awesome. I say it respectfully to Stipe. I would take time off from being a firefighter right now, and I mean that with all due respect. My whole world is going to be focused on him. This is the biggest opportunity in my life to beat the heavyweight GOAT, and I'm going to give it everything I got, absolutely everything I got. Stipe's talking about the fact that he's heavier than me right now. You know, his head's already in the wrong spot if he thinks weightlifting is going to beat me. He'll never be younger than he is right now. He'll never be faster. And I'm going to not only beat Stipe Miocic, I'm going to finish Stipe Miocic before the championship rounds.
John, over here. You had alluded to in your post-fight interview that you felt off with your striking. What was that? Just like nerves or ring rust or what?
Well, there's always a slight filling out process. I actually was dealing with a slight injury before this fight, and I didn't really spar many times. I sparred the total of 3 times in this training camp. And so my striking felt a little unfamiliar. I had drilled a lot. I did a lot of smart drilling, but I didn't spar a lot. And so when I was out there, it was almost like I was trying to remember how to do it, fight on the feet for a moment. But thank God that didn't last too long. I was able to get my hands on him, and that's something I've been doing my whole life. I've been wrestling and grappling my whole life. I feel like my jiu-jitsu is at an all-time high. My wrestling confidence is at an all-time high. And that just may be my style moving forward, you know, getting away from all the kickboxing. I want to save brain cells, and fighting on the ground is just a lot more advantageous.
What was going on with the tape on your toes? They looked like they were cutting it off before you were getting in there?
Yeah, so I used a different tape. I usually use a certain brand of tape. I'll give them a shout out, War Tape. And I feel like it's just a lot stickier. I used the UFC's tape tonight, and as soon as my body started to sweat, the tape was sliding all over the place. And so I made like almost like a little cast around my toe that linked down to the middle of my foot, so that the tape wouldn't slide off my toes. And when I got out there, the commission was just like, "You can't tape your feet." And I'm like, "Dude, I've always taped my feet. I'm not going to compete if I can't tape my toes. I just won't do it. I want everyone to know that for the future." So thank God we didn't have a disaster out there tonight. But they ended up changing the tone a little bit. They allowed me to keep my toes taped, and they had made me take the rest of the tape off the rest of my foot. And it was a nice little distraction going into the fight. One thing about my job is that it throws curveballs, and we got to be able to think on the fly. We got to be able to improvise. And so I just stayed calm. I just, just said, "John, it's nothing much. Just stay cool, keep your head in the game." And we got the tape off the rest of my foot, and I was able to go out there and proceed to the mission.
John, to your left. You've always been a popular fighter, but it seems like this week you've gone to another level, right? The press conference, I know you really enjoyed that, the way the crowd reacted to you. What was it like tonight? You kind of got the biggest pop of all when you got in the cage. The place went nuts. And, a lot of times you've been the bad guy, right? Now you were the good guy, and everybody was happy to see you. What did that feel like for you?
When I first got into the UFC, I would talk about God a lot and wanting to be a good person. And then people got to see that my life wasn't perfect, that I make mistakes, and that I sin, and that I fall down. And I think for a long time people looked at me as just an incredibly fake individual. And I think as of right now, I think people can just see that I'm a human, that I do love God, but I'm a human. And Christians aren't perfect. And I just think I'm more relatable to people than I've ever been. And you know, despite how many times I mess up, I do try to stand for good and something that's bigger than me. And I just think there's a relatability that I have with people, where either you absolutely hate me or you're just learning to understand the man that I am. And I just think it's going over well for me.
When did you adopt that attitude, right? I mean, how and when did it change?
You know, I came into the game young, and I think I was like 20 years old when I joined the UFC, 19 something. And I'm 35 years old now. I just got off of a big hiatus. I took 3 years off. I got to focus on my family. I got to focus on development as a man. I got to start a care project where I'm giving back to the city of Albuquerque. I got to have a dog that was my best friend. You know what I mean? Just little stuff that had nothing to do with being Jon Bones Jones. And it just helped me put life in perspective. It just helped me realize what an opportunity I have, and I've had a lot of reflection time. I've got to see the belt passed around from champion to champion, and all these guys from different countries become the face of the sport, and it's been awesome to witness. And just today, I just have my head screwed on a little bit more straight than it's ever been, and just more self-aware. And I think people are starting to notice that.
Last question for me. You know, Dana was up here before talking about you being the GOAT and unquestionably the GOAT anymore. And you think of most sports, you know, most people think Michael Jordan, but there's some people that think LeBron, otherwise. NFL, some people think Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback. Other people were arguing last week it was Joe Montana. But it seems in MMA you have separated yourself to such a degree that there isn't an argument anymore. And I wonder what that rare air up there where you're all by yourself among all these great fighters who have competed, what does that feel like?
It feels great. It feels great. I've been familiar with high praises for a while now, and I'm very aware that, you know, pride becomes before the fall. So it's going to be different being the champ again, and everyone's calling you the baddest man on the planet. But you know, my surroundings, my circle, they'll keep me humble. At the end of the day, when I get back to Albuquerque, I'm just another guy on my team. And when I'm at home with my fiance and my girls, with my kids, I'm just another guy. I'm just dad. You know what I mean? So I know that grounding myself is going to be more important than ever. Not getting too big for my britches, continuing to do community work, continue to rub elbows with everybody, not getting high on myself. That's going to be the key to my success, is just remaining humble.
John,
Hey, John.
one more in the front, right here. I don't know if you saw, but Francis tweeted, "Good job, Johnny Boy. Sincerely, the heavyweight king." Do you have a response to Francis Ngannou referring to himself?
Francis is a big old pussy.
Hey, John, question over here. John, TJ Legacy, ESPN Gainesville. In your time of reflection and perspective over the past 3 years.
I love that quote. I love it. All that muscle with a big ass pussy. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Do you ever think about your MMA mortality? You know, you have the longest win streak in UFC history. Do you ever think about one day it being over? I know Tom Brady called you the GOAT. He just recently hung it up. Do you ever think about your mortality in the sport?
Ask that again, I'm sorry.
Do you ever, during your time of reflection, do you ever think of how long you could keep this going, this domination in UFC? Do you ever think of your MMA mortality?
You know, I just try to take it one fight at a time, 1 year at a time. I just try to take it just one situation at a time. You know, I do fight to try to live forever in some sense. And, you know, it's an honor that years from now people will talk about me in barbershops about who was one of the greatest hand-to-hand combatants of all time. And I'm honored. I'm honored that I'd be considered. I'm humbled by it, and I just want more challenges. That's really what it's about for me. Just more challenges.
John, I saw you say that you plan on donating your $50,000 bonus to some New Mexico charities. Can you explain a little bit more about what causes you want to work with?
Yeah, the Care Project is something that I created with a group of friends when the pandemic started. We started giving back to our community. Originally, we went out bearing arms, and we were literally willing to fight for our city. And we switched it from being, protectors to just guys who gave back. And it's one of the most gratifying things I've ever been a part of. Just giving back to others, and I gotta officially become a 501c3 so that I can do even more. But yeah, this 50,000 will go. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with it. We do things with the homeless. We provide gifts for Christmas. We do a lot of cool things, and it's just gonna go towards that. It's a great bonus, and I'm excited to do some good with it.
Speaking of money, you did not fall victim to the Drake curse tonight. He bet $500,000 on you, and you managed to come through for him. Any reaction to that?
Next question.
What's up? Congratulations, champ.
Hey, how are you, Ellie? Step back.
I'm reporting.
Reporting.
You made it look easy.
Yes.
Tell
Yes.
me about that.
I'm just grateful. I'm just super grateful. I'm grateful. I'm humbled by it. It was a prediction that I had. And I was able to go out there and pull it off. It just makes me believe in my grappling and my physical strength and my wrestling even more so. And I'll work on that strength and make it even stronger for the next fight.
And tell me about Gervonta Davis visiting you at camp.
Oh, it was great to have Tank Davis come out. He was a very humble young man, very humble, very soft-spoken. And, his persona on Instagram, he's just this larger-than-life character, but in person, him and his team were very respectful men. They seem like quality guys, and I wish him all the best moving forward in life.
John, down to your right. John, down to your right. Dana was in here, didn't realize that you were having an after party. He was a bit worried. Do you think he has a reason to be worried or not?
Absolutely not. He has no reason to be worried. Dana knows we all make mistakes, and I am not the man. I won't even say that. I'm excited to go out. I'm excited to meet my fans. I'm excited to shake their hands, to look them in the eyes, to give them hugs. I know the tickets were more expensive than they normally are, and a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see me in person, and I want to give as much good energy as I can. So my after party is not about drinking or anything like that. It's about giving back to my fans. It's the same reason why I had a meet and greet earlier in the week. I want to give back to my fans. So everyone over at Hakkasan waiting for me, I hope you guys have the best memories tonight and the best experience.
Hey, John, right back here. Straight in the back. John, I mean, when you talk about a victory like this, comeback, the layoff, win a second title, title second weight class, was there ever any thought of just, this may be the night you could just walk away on top? Did that ever cross your mind to say, hey, it may not even get better than this, it's such a big victory?
It is a big victory, but I feel like you're not the champ unless you defend that belt. And I got at least one more in me, and that's what I'm going to give the fans.
On the topic when you started the fight, the low blow happens almost immediately. Did that throw off any focus or rhythm? Obviously, right there, that first opening seconds of the fight.
No, to be honest with you, it didn't even hurt that bad. I felt it tingling now, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't enough to actually stop me. I didn't want a strike like that to go unnoticed, so I thought I'd take a timeout, let the ref know that I was fouled, and we could continue. If you notice, I didn't take a very long timeout, but I didn't want things like that, dirty moves, to be unnoticed, and I didn't want any type of dirty play happening on such a big night. Guys,
John, just for the French fans, it was a big expectation. So now you are just sorry for them?
No, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry to the French fans at all. This is combat, this is war, and there's no mercy. Guys, merci. Have a great night. Take care.